Buonasera, good evening. We should talk in English tonight because we will have with us the amazing Roberto, aka Rob KTA. Just a second.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening.
And here is Rob with us. So,
Yeah.
let's start with some easy question. Nothing.
Okay. Sure.
Nothing. So, how
Yeah.
do you begin your musical journey?
Okay. I think I started like when I was something like 6 years old. I think it was pretty innocently because I think I was a very quiet child like at the time. And I found the music. It was the only thing that I will listen that I was able to. It was able to share me a little bit because I wasn't really someone that will speak too much either. And I think I started to become even like really invested in music. The more that it went, because I think that it really helped me even when I in my childhood years, even to coming out as a person, really, like in starting to get relationships with other people and gain friends and whatnot. And I think that I was just fascinated, like with being able to learn an instrument or anything. So I think that's how I started. However, I have to say that the most of the music I will listen to it was from video games. So there was also that factor as well. So um, I didn't have a lot of experience with video games until I was like 5 years old, maybe 6 years old. When I will just like play mainly on the computer with my grandpa, and like we will just like play some games together. And being like the quiet kid I will just maybe try to hum the soundtrack to it, and maybe I just wanted to start learning how the music works and everything. That was my approach, and that is what really got me to say I really want to learn music. I really want to learn how to do that, and so that's how it started, really.
Oh, bless. About this thing that you said of the video game music, I saw on your Bandcamp and on your social media that you are really passionate about video game music, and you are a
Yeah,
great video games music remixer. And I
yeah,
found this, if I can show to everyone,
yeah.
this first track. No, yes,
Hmm.
that was a remix of the soundtrack of Ridge Racer 5 by
Yeah.
Kota Takahashi.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was even like there is even a funny story behind it because actually it's what led me to just I wouldn't say there is a friend, but like to have him like at the time there was MySpace. I think like what was it like 2008 or so? Gosh, that is a very old one actually. And Kodo himself like contacted me on MySpace. Hey, that is a good remix. Like, do you have Skype contact or anything? And well, I didn't have Skype because at the time when I realized that like nobody was on MySpace anymore and it was mainly on Facebook, so I ended up having him like as a content on Facebook as well. So we started to, sometimes we talk about music and everything when there is the occasion anyway. But I think it is really cool that someone like of that caliber like notice what I do, like the thing that like people that are behind the music like notice the fans. I'm pretty. It's something that is pretty good about it. It really makes me feel real good. It's one of the things that makes you feel like you're really doing something right with that. So I probably is really good.
Oh, good. So, which instrument did you with which instrument you began your musical journey?
I honestly wanted to start with the drums, but we didn't have the room. We didn't have space in our apartment at the time, and also like simply put, it was maybe they were my parents thought that they were too noisy or anything, so we went with the piano instead. So I started to have like private lessons, maybe for a year or so. I even did like a little concert. I was 6 years old or so. Uh, I think that it was mainly just the whole approach, because it was merely like very simple classical stuff, and after a while, just you, I don't know if I really wanted to go forward with that, because I found it a little bit boring. Because what I really wanted to do, it was to play more modern stuff. But okay, you need to start from somewhere that is simple. Yeah, the thing is that it was a lot of reading and writing the music, and it was a little bit, for some reason, it was a little bit difficult for me, because like I have some problems, like even myself, like sometimes in focusing. So I tend to use my ears a little bit more. So basically, what happens is that like I just had the short concert and everything, and after that, the summer came, and I was like, I don't think that I want to have the lessons anymore. So I archived the piano completely until I was in medium school, and I started to. I started like to listen to songs like by myself, and I started to learn them by ear, and that's when I started even like to play more modern stuff and even video game stuff, and that's when I think it was something like that really sparked me, and I was like, maybe I can try to do something with that. I still, to be honest, like don't define myself as a as an infant prodigy with a piano. Like, I think that I mostly use it as a tool, like to jot down melodies and chords and whatnot. But I don't think that I'm really a super skilled live performer and everything. I think there is still always like room for improvement, and is what I intend to do.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. So, continuing with these arguments, when you approach the first producing stuff, producing using music, so when you start with your first DAW or first approach to electronic music?
Okay, it depends, because like if officially I started in 2005, and I think that it was like someone that recommended me like two things to make music. One was Structure, and the other one was Fruity Loops, which was like the old name of FL Studio. So I started to. I couldn't make much sense of Tractor myself, but I could with Fruity Loops Studio, because like it was similar to something else that I used like when I was a child, and I around 1999 or so. Like apparently, I think that I started really to take a musical approach like that with a digital audio workstation like in 1999, because the very first one, it was a PlayStation game called Music 2000, and
Oh yeah,
that is extremely
Roma, yeah.
yeah, it was pretty similar. It was basically a very uh, prehistoric or embryonal like version of Fruity Loops, and that's why it stuck with me, because I don't know, I will spend time on it. I will spend time like making music on it. I even ended up feeling like what, maybe two memory cards just making music, and I think that it was a good thing, because all those soft scales like stay with me, like all the piano rolls and everything, and layering the patterns together. Because flash forward like to 2005, like I started to use Fruity Loops, and many things started to fall into place because of my previous experience. So I think again, like it was 2005, and I really didn't have a clear direction with that. Like I just wanted to, try things out. It was mainly me, like on an old computer, trying to make things work on that. I think that I never been able, like, to compose music at a level that I will define satisfactory until it was maybe 2008, 2012, and because I was still like trying to understand what was behind it and what I needed to do in order to use it correctly, and like it was all a matter of trial and error, and I think that around that time, what I wanted to try was even like to remix video games. So I think that I started slowly to to push out some video game remixes, and yeah, Ridge Racer was one of my favorite video game series, along with Sonic the Hedgehog as well. So I think that around like 2009, 2011, I started to remix a lot of Ridge Racer music, and I started to put it on YouTube because at the time, like, it was possible just to put like music in there, and it was easy. Like unlike today, you need to be extremely careful with everything. But like back then, like it was extremely easy, and it was extremely easy even to get views. So I will have like this 10 remixes of that, and I will just clock what, maybe 10,000, 20,000, even 30,000 views on those, and it was a pretty good thing. But it's something that right now, like, it wouldn't be so easy because all the circumstances and whatnot. But yeah, so I think that's how we started on the workstation. But again, I really didn't have a clear direction with it, so I think that I never understood which kind of music that I really wanted to do until I listened to an album. Like the album was out like since 2001. It was Discovery by Daft Punk, and I think to this day, like, it's one of the very few albums that I was able to listen all the way through from start to finish, like more than once. And I still remember the scene of just going on a trip in Torino, like in northern Italy, and just getting this new album. And it was like like 5, 6 in the morning, and I will just listen to it on my CD player like twice, all the way through seeing like the sun going up, like, and I will listen to it. And in that moment, I think that it clicked. That I realized, okay, I want to try and make this kind of music because this is really, really, really cool. And I think that since then, like as I got better with my tools, like with my digital audio workstation and whatnot, I think that particular style of music production like became a part of me right now. And I keep evolving as well, like, because I think that the more you go for it, like the more you explore even other styles and whatnot. But like that is always a constant that will always remain in there.
Yeah, also we can hear in all your tracks real funky sounds, this funky shaking bass that reminds me a lot of that album from Daft Punk.
Yeah.
So, just you were talking about Daft Punk. What are the musicians that inspires you in your production?
Oh, yeah, there is a lot because it depends from the style as well. Again, like, those are the staples for the classic tracks. Like, usually I had like a phase. Everybody has phases, so I guess Daft Punks are for the first phase ever that I ever had. That is mainly like disco house and French touch and whatnot. But as soon as I went forward and I explored even other styles, like, I listened to a lot of because like I started to approach even like our genre, like drum and bass. So like a lot of stuff from Hospital Records, even R&S Records. I say maybe even there is some stuff like even a little bit more atypical. Like for instance, like there is this Japanese music duo called Boom Boom Satellites, which is really cool because they unfortunately they're not a thing anymore because one of the components passed away like a few years ago. but they used to really make this sort of like gritty techno and J-rock sound, which I always been a really big fan of since I was in high school. So there's that. More recently, I approach even like Japanese fusion as well, like so artists like T Square, Cassiopeia, Jamiroquai as well. I think that a good 60% of my production like is heavily influenced by even fusion or maybe really jazzy sounds. I'm listening to a lot of how the scene is going on like lately, so trying to grasp a tiny bit of the happy hardcore sound, even like of the dance revolution kind of sound, like because I really want to specialize myself in not only in slow like jazzy thing, but also like in faster stuff, which is gonna be useful, like considering the fact that I want to compose games, and you gotta be ready to adapt yourself to various situations and various settings and whatnot. So I don't think that I have a single artist that really like that is only one. Like is always like a cluster of those, and and you try to absorb all that you can from them.
Yes. The music is really full of inspiration. Also, me as a musician, I define me an artist. So I
Right,
found
okay.
really too much music that inspired me. So that I can't say that my music is inspired from one artist, but maybe yes, like you said, from a movement, from a style. It's
Yeah,
not just from an
like
artist.
yeah, I mean, like even music that I used to listen, like when I was maybe in high school, like everybody listens to Green Day in high school, even ska or anything. Like ska is something that I would have never expected to try out. It's something that I tried out like with a friend because we were scoring a game, and is really, and what we came out with was a really fun track with lots of energy, and it's pretty cool. So so even that, like it depends really. You don't even know where all this can take you really. Like I think that the best thing that you can do, like to get inspired, is just to listen as much music as you can, and that's it.
Yes, I agree totally with this. So you talked about the scoring music for video game, and I found that you in 2018 you scored the soundtrack for the Space Dash, an Android game.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
no, I can't find. I tried to find the game, but it was removed from the store. So
Oh, okay.
unfortunately I cannot listen to the soundtrack. But I was really curious about that.
Right. Okay. I didn't even know that the game was removed from the store, but I think that has to do with the fact that it was mainly like a project, a small project, really. Like is because like it was basically like a friend of mine that was a young developer, was studying like game development, that approached me, and it was like, yeah, I would like to make this very small game. This this game right here is just a little project that. Would you like to help me with that? I said, okay. Like, what do you need? What I want to do is just like to compose a small track, the loops, maybe Family Tracker style. Like, and now the thing with Tracker and me is that I have a very difficult relationship because I absolutely not good with numbers and everything, and hexadecimal values, and I am still like really unable to work on a tracker, even with Deathlight Mask, which is one of the most powerful trackers ever, and many people said it is like pretty easy to pick up and play. I still am absolutely unable to make it work for the love of anything. So in the end, what I worked with was just like a bunch of small sounds for the NES library, which are called sound fonts, and I put together like a small track right here, which was very shoot 'em up inspired. So sounded a lot like maybe Galaga, but also like other games like Thunder Force Thunder Force 4 and whatnot. And we just put it in there and just works. Like the game basically was pretty simple at the gameplay. Again, like was a very simple project. Like the game was all about like piloting the spaceship, and instead of shooting enemies, you will try to avoid asteroids, and it just goes faster and faster and faster. So of course it will become more and more and more difficult. So the higher the stakes, like the better is the reward and everything. And the music just like was made with that in mind and added the difficulty. And I think that it really worked really really well. And it's a pity right now that I hear that the game is out of the App Store, because I really enjoyed it even myself. I'm not even sure if I have it on my phone right here. I think I don't have it anymore. And that's a pity. But I mean, the track is still available live to listen to on SoundCloud. I think the somewhere I should even have something like that I call the DOS version. So instead of using like the sound from the NES, I will try it and recreate, let's say, an atmosphere that was like closer to the DOS days of gaming, like so a lot of MIDI kind of sounds and whatnot. So, but as a first project, very, 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 very first project, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice. And how do you approach? So we see that you're scoring the Victory Hit Rally soundtrack with Wiz and another artist. That yes.
Okay, so regarding the Victory Hit Rally approach, I think that it happened basically by chance. It happened in 2019, I think it was the last quarter, and I would just see like small videos of this small project like in development and whatnot, and it was really, really, really cool because it really reminded me of Outrun, maybe a little bit of Power Drift, which are two pretty well-known Sega racing games, and like, hey, I really love what you have in there. Like, you have a very nice project. Are you looking for a composer for it? And there were the guys like Sky Development, like, which is the developer for it. They were like, oh yeah, of course, we're gonna use some music. So at the time, I just released an EP that I made entirely with Core Gadget, which is named Switch Tunes. And I think I used that, let's say, as a portfolio or of sort. And so I got into the project, and they were like, okay, what would you do for this game? And I was like, okay, let me just see. Because I think the first approach for that was to just treat it as to be like within in the box. So, okay, this is a very 90s arcade racing game. Let's just like treat it like it's an arcade racing game. So even emulating some arcade sound hardware, so very, very like lo-fi kind of sound, and maybe it can work for a bit. But then I started to think outside of the box a tiny bit, because I wanted to maybe have a little bit of a diverse soundtrack in it, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe we can try to do other things. So that's why when I said earlier, I even approached myself to drum and bass. I even approached myself to other genre of music, like which are pretty fast, like, I don't know, happy hardcore as well. But the thing is, I'm not good with happy hardcore, and I wasn't still good with happy hardcore. So I decided like to drag in like a friend of mine. G-Wiz is a lovely lady that I know since a while, and she's really, really good at what she does. What she does is a really like fast, high energy, high heart, and like kind of happy hardcore music, which she calls NASCAR, because I think it is a mix of NASCAR and hardcore, like, which is pretty very, very clever as well. So I was like, okay, so there is this game. Listen, there is this game, and I think that you could do something with it. Do you want to make a few songs with me? So I got her working with me, and we collaborated on a few songs. But she provided some great contributions to the soundtrack, which just fit the game. They just fit it, and they're like becoming staples in the soundtrack, and they just sound amazing. Like, I'm still blown away from the quality that she brought to the project. But I think that I was able even to learn some things myself, even like how to do some little things. How to even approach this genre as well. So now I'm finding myself more comfortable even in doing faster stuff like drum and bass and similar. So there's even that. But like as I said, we even explored other genres. We explored ska. We explored even synthwave. I am still working on the soundtrack because there are some things that I'm still working on, and it was even like a good chance for me to try out some, standard '90s rock. So very T Square ish inspired things. It's a lot of fun to work on. It's a lot of fun for me to work on this soundtrack, and I absolutely can't wait for the game to be out because I'm confident that everybody is gonna enjoy it to the fullest.
Oh yeah, me too. I can wait to play this game because it seems really, really, really an interesting, like an old school game, but with something good. Like I heard also a mini mix of the soundtrack that it really suits good for the game.
Yeah.
That's a date for the game or just nothing yet?
Okay, so after the Kickstarter concluded and we were able to fund the game, we decided that at the moment the ETA for the release should be late 2021, but we can be sure about the date at the moment, mainly because we're even working tirelessly behind the scenes because we're constantly reworking the game, revamping it and whatnot, and it's never done. It is never done, and it's never good enough. Not it is not good, but there's always room for improvement, especially development wise, and also because I have this terrible habit with music that I can produce 7 versions of the same song because I don't like the mixing. So there is also that there's a lot of work behind it, but it just boils down to the fact that we are improving the art style more and more. We're trying to tweak the gameplay and everything to make it enjoyable and fresh for everybody to enjoy. And of course, I'm working on more contributions for the soundtrack on my end because I just want to make sure that I can find the right music to accompany the various environment that we plan for the game. So there's a lot still going on. So, but roughly late 2021, or fourth quarter of 2021, you should be able to enjoy Victory Hit Rally.
Okay, let's get in the past. I've seen that you played in several gigs in England, and one in particular, maybe in 2015, maybe in Magfest in the USA.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How was that?
How long it was that? Or sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
So how was to travel abroad the ocean
Right.
and play, and how
Okay.
they found you to and invite you to play there?
Well, okay. So since 2013, I was starting to put out my game remixes, let's say on a professional level, quote unquote, because I was with the Game Shops label. And we started to put out various remixes of Sonic the Hedgehog, Outrun. So let's say that between 2013 2014, I was starting to establish my name. Let's say the RoBKTA that everybody knows, in the first part of my career. So the thing is that I will see all these conventions. At the time, I was still living in Italy. I wasn't even living in the main part of it, in the mainland. I was living in one of the islands because I'm from Sardinia, and if you come from Sardinia, it's pretty hard for you to reach even the mainland. You will have to, let alone going abroad. So some of the great thing about establishing myself is that I was getting friends even as well. So they will approach me and they were like, "Hey, would you like to come to MacFest on 2015?" And I was like, it was August at the time. I had to give it a thinking of it because going in there, it means getting putting a lot of money towards that, because I think that only the plane ticket was $2,000, I think, roundabout. Because again, I come from an island, so I will have to go to Rome, maybe stop in Rome and then stop in Paris again, and then finally from Paris all the way there. And once that happened, once we settled down, after I thought about it, I gave it a good a week thinking about it. At the time, I was even in a relationship with a girl from New Jersey, and I really and she was coming too, and I was like, you know what, let's do it. So they started out the GoFundMe for me in order to at least secure the funding for the hotel. So they got the money for that, and in the end, what happened is that my family helped me out with that. We made great sacrifices in order to get there, but so for someone from Sardinia, going to the US after God knows how many hours of flight, and you find yourself in that universe. I'm not talking about only the convention. I'm talking even about the roads and all the kind of environments that you will see only in the freaking movies that you see on TV. Is something exhilarating. You will be in the bloody highways, the real American highways and everything, and you will have dollars in your pocket. It sounds stupid, but even that is something. And we arrived even at this big, the Gaylord Resort, and this incredibly big thing. We will settle in the room, and finally we will see all these people that you only see online, and you speak to them. You finally talk to them in real life, and many of these people knew me, and they're like, oh my God, you're coming here. And in the meantime, I'm like, yeah, good to see you, even though I don't exactly know who you are, but it's fine. It's fine. I guess it is to be with the fame or so. So the first gig at MacFest 2015 officially was the Chip Space gig. And I was the last chiptune, I have to say that I was the least chiptune acting there that day, but everybody seemed to be having a good time, and it was the thing that really mattered the most. And after that, there was the chance for me to, let's say, to make an appearance on the main stage with all the rest of the Game Chops family in there, and it was pretty cool as well, because in front of me there were 2,000 people in the room, and I was in there and I was ready to go. I was a nervous wreck. I was on the backstage. All my friends were getting ready to push me out in there. So I get out on the stage, and I started. I don't even know what I was doing. I was on autopilot. I was just having a lot of fun with my friends, dancing and DJing with them, and we even got out more than once. It was such a great experience. It was a great experience. I ended up staying in America at that time one extra week, because there was a blizzard alert, and they were threatening to cancel all the flights. So I had to. What happened after that is that I had to tag along with my girlfriend at the time and just go back to New Jersey for another week. And I ended up flying over from Newark all the way back home. And even in that, I got to see some things from there. I got to see Newark, in a little bit of Jersey City, and everything was with the snow. But it's still a plus. It's still a plus. It was a great first experience to me, and I still look back to it, and I still remember how much of a fun it was, and it was absolutely great. And I'm just glad all the fact that it wasn't the only one, because I was able to do it another few times. It would be nice to do it even this year, but unfortunately, the pandemic the pandemic time happened. What happened? We'll see. Maybe next year there will be another one, and I'll see all my friends again.
Let's see what the future will bring
Yeah,
us. So, going after the MacFest, I saw that you in 2017 you decided to move out to London, and then I saw you that you found that something more for your music. So your music grow up really better before expected when you was in Italy.
Yeah. Being in London, you get absorbed in in all the multiculturality that is in here. Like in London, I was able even to go clubbing more often, like in real life. Again, we're talking about 2017, 2018, and 2019. Not right now because it's impossible. But like I was able to see what goes on in here. So if there's a deep house scene, we can go with that. Or there is a drum and bass scene, I can definitely do something with that. I think that since I got in London, what happened is that I wanted to experiment a little bit more with music, which is something that I still like committing to do today in every way possible, because I think that you can do whatever you do for so long. After that, you gotta try new roads, you gotta try to do new things, and you also be more courageous and daring. So that is the reason why I even like ended up producing an entire album and finishing producing an entire album here in London, which was in production for 2 years or so, and is the name of the album is Selfie USA, and it's been released by Hyperwave Records, which is run by Shirobon, which is a Chipton artist, and also we could say neighbor, because we live like 10 minutes apart. But yeah, like that was the start of when I think that I wanted to do something more experimental with my music and not only stick to what I know, because like if I never try, I will never know. So that's why I wanted to go forward with that, and I still willing to go forward with that today.
Yes, so let's go. I lost myself. I had a question that I forgot, but because I hadn't wrote. Yes, that was the question. What do you miss most of Italy, if you miss something of here?
I don't know. I think the weather, as stupid as it sounds like, because like in here there is nowhere as much sunlight in Italy like during the day. At least in there, we know that there is sunlight and everything, and like it's not always raining, because yeah, in here it rains all the time, seriously, and after a while it just becomes unbearing. And I think the food, well, of course, but most of missing something of it. I think that I missed the fact, I don't know, as stupid as it sounds like, in Italy back at the time I was unemployed, I was still looking for a job and the rest, but I was working on the music. I was younger. I was much less stressed, because right now I'm juggling my music work along with full-time work, because well I need to sustain myself, and unfortunately for me I'm even like an essential worker during the COVID pandemic. So I'm every day is a bit of a gamble for me. So I think that I miss mostly like what was in Italy for me, rather than what I miss something like that is in there already, because I always know that I can always come back and find it. But I think that I miss mostly being able to be. I was just more chill. I don't know. I was just younger, more chill, like less stressed, and it's something that I really hope that I'm able to find out to find within myself on someday again. But like, yeah, that's mainly what I miss about Italy.
Yeah, the Italian way, the Italian job,
The Italian way, yeah.
really. Yeah.
Also more about holidays as well.
Yeah. I remember one thing from when I was in London in 2013, that we went with 2 or 3 friends to London to come to a breakbeat gig at Cable. And I think that club closed some years later, unfortunately, because it was a really nice club. But the thing that shocked me, that I was really I can't expect this from any club, because I was living in Italy, and when you go to a gig in Italy, if they say the gig is at 9 sharp, it starts like at 10, 11. But in London, no. It starts at 9. At 9, the music starts. No.
No, no. It's not like at 9 the music starts. Like they are very punctual. Like, but not only not only very like even in MacFest, like we had like very strict timetable that we needed to deal with. So we know that at that time we needed to be there for the sound check, and at that time the sound check needed to be over, and then we needed to be there again in order to start. Like I think that is merely a cultural thing. Maybe is mostly a British American thing, like to be more punctual and everything, rather than we just like, or maybe we just know that in Italy there may be some problem like really last minute, and that's what really happens. I think it is mostly that, or I don't know. Maybe we're just lazier and everything, because I can totally understand that. All right.
Yeah,
Could be
maybe
Could be
is
Maybe
that.
Yeah.
So I make you the last question, and then I let you free. And the last, it's what it's in your future. What do you see in your future? You have some project, something that you can say to us about your music.
Well, at the moment, I'm really diving like deep into the game soundtracks, because along with Victory Hit Rally, I have another few projects going on that I cannot really talk about, because they're like because I've been told to like to keep it secret, but they are really really fun things. I can guarantee that. I'm gonna try in between even to work on my new album, which I'm should have been out like a year ago, but again I'm postponing in order to work on the soundtrack, and I'm aiming it to be even another departure from the usual style and everything. So incorporate even more fast elements of drum and bass, happy hardcore, and DDR friendly music. So there is even that, and hopefully when this thing blows over, because I was able like to perform a lot of gigs last December, which was a lot of fun, and it was online gigs, and it was pretty good. But it would be nice if we were able like to get out of all this gradually, because what I really miss is the fact of being together in a club with friends and playing in front of a crowd. But the first thing right now is, in order to do our part and stay safe and get the vaccination, and also wearing the mask, and wash the hands, everybody, and be sure to not get infected, because right now that's the priority. I really hope for a party once everything blows over, and I really hope for another MacFest, maybe 2022 or 2023, whatever. But I think that right now that is the priority, because for now, and it will just give me the opportunity to work more on my music, and that's really what I see in my future. Just getting better at what I do and deliver better for my fans and the people that support me. Really.
Oh yes, I also hope that we can host you in Italy real soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
really hope that I can play in Italy again.
in real life, yeah, and let's shake the people in real life, not only
Yeah.
on screen. So, thank you, Rob, for
Thank you
today.
for everything. That was good.
And I want to say goodbye to Jellybird TV, that is always present.
Okay.
And,
Bye.
and so, guys, I will come back live tomorrow with the first airing of Metazoa Gaming with the Brutal Legend, and stay tuned for Sunday, that we have an amazing producer from France that is called Ghost in the Loop, in an amazing place in France, but I won't spoiler anymore. So see you soon and have a good night.
And you too. Say good night to everybody, and thanks for coming.